Weston has delivered the cross, knocked on by Craw. This is Piggott!
Now Wayne Gray, last knockings of the season. Wayne Gray for the title!
It's Sam Wood, and Bentley has managed to get to it.
It's Eastwood this time. Oh, what a goal! Freddie Eastwood has given Southend the lead with a goal that any Manchester United player would be proud to score.
Hello and welcome to our first Matchday Live. A frustrating one, really, a disappointing day for Southend United. Back at Roots Hall for the first time in 28 days. It was a 1-0 defeat to Gateshead. Not what any of us would have wanted from a Shrimper's perspective, but looking forward to talking to you all over the next half an hour or so, in which will hopefully be the first in a long list of regular get-togethers after matches at Roots Hall and possibly even after away games as well. So we're keen to hear your comments, answer your questions. If you want to come on as well, you're more than welcome. We have got a couple of Southend fans that are ready and waiting to join in us. So we'll be talking all about the games. There seems always a lot going on at Southend United. Thankfully, other than the game today, a lot of it has been a lot more positive than negative, which has been the first time in a very long time that we've been able to see that. Great to see things moving in the right direction and players signing contracts and everything that we want to happen finally happening. Obviously, we're still waiting for it to be officially completed. But today we're mainly going to be focused on the subjects that you want. So anything you want to ask, just send over. Hopefully, it's the first one we've done, but we'll be able to see your comments and your questions, and we'll be able to take things from there and talk about various topics. The first Southend fan who'll be joining us is Charlie. So we're just looking forward to him logging in. And Brad, first one in. I knew you'd be the first one, Brad. So I'm very excited that you haven't let me down. So good to have you on board. Hopefully you'll be able to join us as well. Poor game and ref shocking. Yeah, you're not a fan of the refs, are you, Brad? I knew that you were going to be saying that. He wasn't the best, but I always think there are reasons beyond the officials why you lose matches, and we'll look into that today. So first of all, I'm very pleased to say that Charlie is joining me. Charlie, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I think you might be on mute. I'm not sure whether or not I can hear you or...
Hang on.
It might be my laptop. Hang on. My technical wizards are just coming to help me.
Okay, it's showing that I'm okay.
Talk now, Charlie, sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
Excellent, there we go.
Indeed. Sorry about that. We had a secret mute button that neither of us knew anything about. So
yeah, no worries, mate. No problem.
Get these situations out of the way. So a defeat today for Southend United, obviously a frustrating afternoon. If we just start with your views on the match, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, starting the game, thought, yeah, we're up for this. The opening sort of 10 minutes, just absolutely went at them, which isn't really surprising because, it's, we're quite, we regularly go at teams and stuff. It's not we don't really sort of hold back or anything like that. So the opening sort of 5-10 minutes when we was like really, the ball's in the box early, lots of sort of chances created. And I sort of just felt that it was a matter of time before sort of one of those chances went in really. But as sort of the time went on, the game sort of just gradually, sort of got slower and slower as the sort of half went on really. And it just sort of fizzled out to be nothing and it was a bit disappointing really.
Yeah, I mean, they're quite a good side, aren't they? I think they were disappointed from a Southend perspective, but it's important to remember that there's two teams on the pitch and you don't always get things your own way. And they had spells, didn't they? Especially, I thought, at the start of the second half when they were sort of had their best spell of the game. What did you make of how they played? I know they showed some streetwise skills towards the end, shall we say, which was frustrating from our point of view. But what did you make of their performance?
Yeah, I mean, they also had a game plan and had to frustrate us and, probably slow the game down, really. I mean, defensively, I think they look quite good. They put their bodies on the line, especially to say in that first half where we was sort of looking quite, of a threat. They made a few blocks and putting their body on the line and things like that. But yeah, they are a good side. There's no doubt about that. They're not where they are if they weren't. And as you said, that sort of start of that second half, was hoping that we would sort of be right. Let's really turn this on now and that, and it never sort of got going. And then they had that just before they scored. I think they had that ball sort of through, and Colin made a good save moments just before. And then obviously, it was only a few minutes later. They had their second opportunity, and they made the most of it. And it was just a bit of a sucker punch, really. And I think again, it just sort of just didn't get going for us really until, ironically, sort of the 90th minute when the 8 minutes went up, and it sort of got us ramped up a bit more.
Yeah, it was Marcus Dagner, wasn't it? His 18th goal of the season from them, and then we went into stoppage time. It's painful at times, isn't it? Threatening to sort of watch in Southend, and you see one off the post, and then that comes back in, and one off the bar. It was like, oh my god! And that's when you know it's not your day. That was summed it up at the end, didn't it? Really?
Yeah, exactly that. Those two opportunities, they go in, happy days. But like you say, one off the post, and then to hit the bar following the next corner, you just think, well, that's it. It's not your day, and it is what it is. And we'll brush ourselves off, and we'll go again, no doubt.
Yeah, and what would you do differently from here? And we don't need to be too much of an over-exaggeration. I know we're all guilty of that a lot of the time. Immediately after a match, me myself as well, with my fan hat on rather than my work one. So, what do you think? What would you like to see? Anything change? Would you go with the same team again next week?
I thought I know Harry Taylor. I thought he was brilliant in the first half. He's a bit of an unsung hero, I think, this season. He goes about his business quite quietly, but he reads the game so well. And hopefully, touch wood, his injury isn't anything too serious. But I thought when Crowther came on in his replacement, I thought he looked very good at the back, quite assured and comfortable. Again, with Morton in the middle, he's got an eye for a pass. He can spread the ball quite nicely and stuff. So I'd like to see him maybe start. And with obviously Waldron, I think he gives us something a little bit different up top to what sort of Cards and Dackers do. I mean, Dackers, I think, struggled a little bit today to sort of get involved in. I don't think he sort of was too sure. Should he be coming for the ball? Should he be dropping off? It was a bit. I think sort of caught in a bit limbo really. Whereas Waldron, I think, just gives us something a bit more direct maybe. But obviously we've got to be mindful. He's only just coming into sort of full time football, so we don't want to sort of put all the pressure on him to be our sort of, but maybe whether we start him or we give him a half, I don't know. But it's nice to have the options, I suppose, now, as what we didn't have at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Stay with us, Charlie. I'm going to be joined by Ollie as well, another Southend fan. Ollie, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us as well. I know you caught the end of what we were just saying about it. Obviously, a disappointing day for Southend. Sad to be starting off this series that we're doing with the home defeat. What was your take of the match today?
It weren't the best. I've seen this play so much better this season. Referee didn't help, but I'm not going to go on about that too much. But I thought, I thought Bridgie looked good because I was worried about him. I was saying actually before to a couple of people that I might have even dropped Jack Bridge. I think he's been kind of not as good as we know he can be in his last few weeks. But I think today he was really quite excellent. I thought he really looked quite direct. Had that chemistry back with Ralph. But really frustrating because from where I was on the other side, it didn't look like good defending for the Gateshead goal. It really didn't.
I think there was a few ricochets in there. I think he had one shot and then it came back out. And I guess it's the small moments, isn't it? That comes back to their penalty scores. Hits the post, hits the bar, comes out.
Oh, yeah. You couldn't get any more. That sums it up, didn't it, really, these last 2 weeks? I think that really, just not taking chances. I think it was the same at Chesterfield. Just the boxes. And I think it's so kind of frustrating because you know that in between the two boxes was so good.
Yeah.
And if we just took some of those chances today, we would have been talking about 3 points. And it's kind of, it's just, like you say, Chris, it's just really frustrating.
Yeah, I'm going to stick up for Jack Bridge, though. I like Jack Bridge. I think he's
Yeah.
one of our creative players. So
Easily.
I'll stick up for him. And good news before kickoff with Harry Taylor signing his contract, Ollie. How pleased are you that he's the latest one to have put pen to paper?
I'm buzzing about all of them, Chris. I'm really happy that they're all kind of getting penned down because actually, I think actually Justin said this at the consortium even. He said it's kind of it's good to see new signings coming in, but the ones that we're rewarding with contracts, Cardwell, Bridge, all of them really coming and signing on. It's great to see because they've stood by us in our hour of need, and not only that, they've been really, really good. And I think Harry Taylor's been a revelation at centre back. He's built up a really good partnership with Kensal and Ralph, and they're working wonders. Disappointed to see him go off. It seemed like he was injured. Would I be right?
Yeah, he went off. He had a hamstring problem. Kevin Mayer said afterwards in his after-match interview that there was a clearance towards the end of the first half when he kicked the ball and it went back over his head. I don't know if you remember that. Pinched his hamstring, so
Yeah.
don't know how it's this yet. So they're going to be checking in on that. But yeah, it was a blow to see him having to come off, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I thought Adam Crowther did well when he came on.
Yeah, he did really well. Yeah,
he looked good. Looked composed. I think he's very similar to kind of Taylor and Kensal, I think, in the way that he's kind of composed on the ball, but he's also very, solid at the back. Didn't really let much through. But yeah, it's good that we've got this strength in depth now. Like if Harry Taylor got injured a couple of months ago, we would have been like, oh dear. But it's kind of like, but we are, we are still like that because, like I say, he's quality, and it's really. And I hope his injury isn't too serious, but also at the same time, it's good to have people like Adam Crowther to step in if needed next weekend and for the foreseeable future if it is serious.
Yeah, definitely. And Charlie, what have you made of Harry Taylor this season? He's been a bit of an unsung hero, really. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mentioned it a bit earlier. He goes about his business quite quietly and unassuming, but he reads the place so well in his timings of his tackles and that. I mean, he shows glimpses of it in the first half today, and yeah, for me, he's the player of the season so far, without a doubt. I just hope the injury isn't anything too serious. So yeah.
Yeah, because it's weird how things work out. If we would have been a properly run football club in the summer, we probably would have decided we would have signed another defender, or we lost Sean Hobson, didn't we? If that hadn't have happened, Taylor might not have gone back there. If Lou Lomas hadn't been injured, Harry Taylor might not have gone back there. So all these sort of small things that have happened, that he's ended up there. But he looks like he's sort of played there all his life. Would he be your player of the year so far, Ollie, or who would get yours? I mean, Gus, there's a few options, aren't there?
It's an impossible question. They've all been, and you look at it like I don't have a favourite player in this current team. I think all of them really, they're just I think Harry Taylor's up there. I think Gus Scott Morris he symbolises. I see a lot of people say this on social media. He epitomises everything about the club. He runs through a brick wall every single game, and he's brilliant. I think Ollie Coker. I think he's come through and he's been absolutely quality. Noor Hussein has just got better. Cav Miley's 8 out of 10 every single week. Colin, all of them. They're all really. But yeah, I think Harry for to go into centre back, it's not an easy position to go into, and he's made it his own. And we're all now sat here worried about his injury, so that shows how good he's kind of been. So I think, if I had to choose it, I probably would give it to Harry.
Yeah, good shout there, definitely. So, having some questions thrown our way at the moment. The strength in depth should now be used to test players. Dackers and Cardwell don't work together, unfortunately. So they've had 2 games together, so it might take time to build up partnerships. So maybe a little bit harsh to say that straight away, but everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'll start with you, Charlie. I know you mentioned Marcus Dackers earlier. Would you like to see a change in attack? Do you think that partnership can work, or what do you think moving forward? No pun intended for the front 2.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like you say, they've only had a couple of games playing together. I just worry if they're sort of a bit too similar of a player. I mean, obviously we've got Sandat as well, so we can't forget about him. Also on the bench. As I said earlier, I'd like to see Waldron up with Cardwell. I just think he gives him something a little bit different, and see how that dynamic works. But obviously, I'm understandable that we can't expect Waldron to be just coming straight into the starting lineup and playing 90 minutes, having sort of stepped up to full-time football. But yeah, for me, at the moment, I just think Cards and Dackers are a little bit too similar. And I think, give it a few more games, they may spark sort of, relationship and work something out. But I just think at the minute we need something, a different dynamic.
Yeah. What do you think on the front two, Ollie? Who would you like to see starting up top against York next weekend?
Well, I'd go with not just the front line. I'd go with the same team that ended the game today if everybody's fit. I think we've brought Waldron in and we've got this high expectation of him because of what he's done in the National League North. So, and we've yet to really see it because he hasn't had enough game time. So we've brought Dackers in as well. He knows the club. He knows Cardwell. Obviously, they played together, I think, last season. So I think, I think Marcus Dackers was a good signing when he came. We were all very happy to see him because of the numbers. To answer your question, Chris, next week I'd go with Waldron and Cardwell because I just think that partnership could work. I think it really could work. I think with Cardwell dropping in, Waldron making the runs off, I think it could be a really fruitful partnership and it could really benefit our front line.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what other people watching send us your views on who you think should be starting in it. It's nice to have options, isn't it? When you think the other week ago, we had one striker, didn't we? So it's quite nice to have this conversation and therefore even to be a bit of a dilemma and a bit of an issue with who it should be. I mean, Waldron's had two sort of substitute appearances now, and he certainly has got that pace that he can get in behind defences, can't he? So he can stretch play and cause problems, but he deserves a chance, doesn't he? And as the shooter said here, that was my next question. I know we've all been talking about everything's rosy and it's fantastic and we're looking at the playoffs, but you look at the league table now, it's 2 points above the relegation zone. I'll start with you, Charlie. Are you a bit worried? I know that Adam Crowther was asked this after the game and he maintained that they were still looking up the table, but I know as Southend fans, we are natural worriers, but how are you viewing when you look at it at the league table right now?
To be honest with you, it weren't until after the game I looked at the table and I actually saw where, how low we've got. Well, not low, but how, we're sort of close to the relegation than we are the playoffs at the moment. I know we've also got a couple of games in hand and things like that. But yeah, it weren't, we've been talking about playoffs and looking up all the time that you sort of didn't realise actually how low and how congested it is down there. I think, am I worried? I'm not. The team is. We've got the team that will see us through. And that's no doubt about that. Is playoffs a bit of a push now? I think so. I think we need to start taking the points off of the likes of Gateshead and things like that. Obviously, we've still got Eastleigh to play twice if we ever get around to that fixture. They're the sort of teams that we need to take the points off. And I think we'll stay up. I have no doubt about that. I'm not concerned about the relegation, but yeah, it did surprise me. How congested it is down there, and to see that there's only is it 2 points? I think it is.
Yeah,
like blimey, yeah.
Especially with Phil Brown doing well at Kidderminster.
Yeah.
Talked about that in the press box today. Another comment just coming through. Morton looked so up for it when he came on. Would definitely start with the team that ended the game, similar to what you were saying just a few moments ago. Ollie, was Morton someone else that you were impressed with?
Yeah. When he came in, I was watching actually his highlight reels from when he was at Western-super-Mare. He really looks like a class act, and I think similar to what I said about how Crowther and Taylor are kind of similar. I think Miley and Morton are also very, very similar. They both look really, really good on the ball. They both can play a double pivot. I think Morton, when he came on, was actually playing further up, and he looked good. There was one moment and there was actually a moment, I think, in the Halifax game a couple of weeks ago where I was watching, and I just thought, I wish Morton would shoot.
Yeah,
because I've seen goals from him at Western-super-Mare, and none of them are tap-ins. So I was just kind of thinking if he could just have a go. And it's the same with Miley, actually, because we see it from Hussein on the rare occasion. If the midfielders, especially when we're putting crosses in, it breaks a lot and it just gets cleared away, the second ball. And I'm just thinking if the midfielders were in there, just one of them, it could honestly. And in the same respects, if we're outside the box, we don't need to walk it in. We can just have a shot.
I've seen that comment
mate.
quite a few times in the Twitter comments, people saying they were trying to sort of make things too difficult sometimes, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've seen other people's. But then it's difficult to try and work out sometimes who to leave out, isn't it? When you'd like, you almost want to pick 13 players because everyone's sort of done well. But Mawson, for you, Charlie, would he start?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a brilliant player, to be honest. Watching him today when he came on, just wanting, and he wants the ball every opportunity. He's showing himself and wanting the ball, looking head straight up. What pass can I make? You know, can I get in behind that back line? Can I get something going up top in that final third? But yeah, I agree that it's frustrating. Sometimes you just want, you know, you're sitting in your seat and he's like, just someone have a shot, someone like, it's like we're kind of, I don't know, don't get me wrong, like we're so successful in those areas when Bridge and Ralph and Wes are down that left hand side, you know, and the crosses, you know, it's, you know, no doubt about it that we know we're very, very successful there. But as the season goes on, I think teams are sort of recognising that, and sometimes you just think, you know, they're doubling, tripling up on Bridgie and stuff, and sometimes it gives us that bit of space in the middle, and you think, you know, if we could get it to one of the guys in the middle and get a shot away, then, you know, who knows?
Yeah, and one thing Kevin Mayer did say in his after-match interview, which I found sort of quite interesting, was the fact that perhaps Southend are under a lot more, or a bit more pressure now. I think he said, because you look earlier on in the season with the one sub and not enough subs and everything that was going on, that it was almost a free hit as such, and the expectations were so low. But now we've had the takeover very close to being completed, with the consortium coming in, the contracts being signed, the new signing, and 5 subs. Do you agree with that, Ollie? Do you think there is now more pressure on the Southend players to perform, or do you not really think that's the case?
I think it's more the fact that there's so much positivity around the club and within the fan base that we kind of want to go to games now. And kind of like I've been to games this season at Roots Hall where it's kind of been going in there and we've won, and then I've come out and everybody's just been looking really glum because of, you know, off the field. But we're going in now and you kind of come out and everybody's, after a win, everybody's really quite happy, and it's a whole different. But I think just the whole I think, as I say, it's just more the kind of mood at the club off the pitch. Everything looks good off the pitch. We kind of expect it to be good on it as well. So I think it's I hope we don't get our expectations too high, because actually I think these guys are still like performing every single week for us, and it's kind of they're giving it their all for us. So it's kind of but yeah, I think expectations are going to be higher. We are Southend United after all, and I don't think we should be in this league. And I think that's what we want, is we want to be out of this league. So I think the expectations are always going to be high until we are back where we belong.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to have those reasons to be positive, looking beyond the result today, because I won't dwell on it too much, but it's been so hard for so long and so difficult. And Charlie, I know yourself that it's a club that means an awful lot to all of us on this call. But how long have you been following Southend, and just how difficult have the last few years been for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been following Southend for about 30 odd years now, really. Sort of first went when I was around about 6-7 years old. Couldn't really remember too much of my first game, if I'm honest with you. But it's been a club that I've supported ever since. You know, my mum and my brothers, they're Chelsea fans, but where's the fun in that? Like, you know, I'd sooner give me Southend any time of the day. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And yeah, there's no doubt the last, you know, sort of over the COVID years and back-to-back relegation, it was tough. It was really tough, especially, you know, you couldn't get to the games. You're watching it on TV, and I still think that if we had fans in the stadiums at that time, we wouldn't have been relegated. You know, I think we're the 12th man, and I think we would have. There's games that we've lost in that COVID years that we would have seen the games through. We would have got more points, and I think we would have been safe. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. But yeah, it was really tough. But so I don't want to dwell on that anymore, because it's really looking promising. I went to the event at the Cliffs last week and was really, really not, I wouldn't say I was surprised, but just really pleased to hear what I was hearing. You know, it wasn't under any illusion. We weren't trying to sell us, you know, something that, you know, false promises. You know, they were quite honest and open with their plans and what we can and can't expect, and that. And that's all you want, is just a bit of transparency and honesty. And they want the best for the club. You can see that, and I think we're in very, very safe hands, and really excited for what the future holds.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I think we almost got into a situation where we wanted a anyone but Ron scenario, but it always had to be the right people but Ron, didn't it? Because we could have got into the wrong hands again, and then it could have got even worse if that was conceivable.
Yeah.
But Ollie, yourself, how's it been for you? Sort of a younger Southend fan, so I'm interested. Is there popularity still? I was a bit worried that there'd been so much damage to the club that perhaps sort of like a younger generation of fan maybe put off coming to Southend. But are we still popular among a younger generation?
110%. I mean, I've got people coming up to me now, like I always say before, where we were under Ron Martin, I used to be going, and then people used to, I used to go, oh, I'm going to Southend, and all my mates used to be like, why? Just why? And then like now it's kind of been like, I'm going to Southend. Can I come? Have you got a spare ticket, spare seats around you? It's like, it's entirely, and I think, like, I think, like Charlie just said about the consortium evening, I think one of the things that kind of was really quite stuck out to me, and to, if there were any other younger fans there that night, was how much the consortium seemed to care about the future generation with the club. I think they said something about a junior fan advisory board, and
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and kind of about I mean, like all the things like the Junior Blues. Like I'm in my last year of Junior Blues. I'm definitely a more older person.
I used to be a Junior Blue, and technically I never left, so I don't know whether or not I still count as a Junior Blue or not.
Yeah,
I was one once.
Yeah, but it's great. You do all the Junior Blues events, and there's so many people that turn up, and you say to them, like, I've got Southend's my one and only club. I might say to people like, oh, I bet you're West Ham, bet you're Arsenal. They go, this is my club. This is it.
Yeah,
and it's like,
who's your proper team? That always annoys me when people ask that. Don't you support a proper team?
Yeah, but no, but it's really good to see. But for me as a young fan, look, it's really not been easy, and especially as a young fan, I think it obviously really affects older fans because of the longevity of how long they've been supporting. But I think for the younger generation who really are invested in the club, it's tough, because it's like, if the club was no longer, that's one less thing to do on a weekend, and it's something that really does mean a lot to people. So, but yeah, the first thing I said when I came out of that consortium evening, I said to my mate who I went with, I go to all the games with, I said to him, we're in safe hands, and we're going to have a really good future supporting this club. And it's really exciting, and we're going to get a lot more people of our age who say, you know what, okay, maybe National League now, but a couple of years, who knows? It could literally be back to where it was. But no, like the younger generation really are invested. It's really good to see. So yeah, like hopefully that can only grow.
Yeah, that's always been my worry, because I remember when I was first going when I was about 7 years old with my dad, and that's what I was worried that the future generations were going to be missing out on that. Another comment here saying playoffs were never truly realistic this season. Yeah, I think that potentially we were dreaming a little bit when we were sort of pointing towards them. It's good to aim higher, but perhaps you are right there. Maybe we see what we can do this year, and then really kick on next year. So I was going to finish off, but it's quite a tough one to pick today. So I've got to pick a man of the match for the paper on Monday, and I didn't really know who to go for, and I know it's a difficult one to pick. So start with you, Charlie. Who would be your man of the match? I know it's a tough one to pick this first week, but hopefully in weeks to come it will be a little bit better. So who are you going for?
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, as I touched on earlier, prior to his his injury, I would have given it to Harry Taylor. But I think today I'll probably give it to Jack Bridge today. He was just tireless down that end, trying to create any opportunity. So just for the work rate and the continuing effort in what was quite a sort of a tough game, I guess. I'd go Jack Bridge today.
Yeah, and yourself, Ollie, who are you going for?
Bridgie was excellent. I think, but I'll go with Nathan Ralph for kind of the same reasons, because I actually think he again, tireless, never gives up. Really does embody the values of a captain. And he's just he never gives up, and he's kind of always down there on that left. And I just thought he was excellent again. So yeah, I'd probably give it to Nathan Ralph today.
Brilliant, superb. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you both for being our first guest on Matchday Live tonight. Thanks everyone who sent in comments and questions, and hopefully this is something that we can build in the future and become bigger and better moving forward, and more of you kind of involved in asking your questions. So cheers, Charlie. Cheers, Ali. Up the Blues.
Cheers,
and
Yeah,
fingers crossed for a
Yeah.
better result next weekend.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers,
Have a good
Ali.
evening. See you later.